it's really hard to explain this feeling because I know that probably many people say, oh, it's a dream come true, but it is really a dream come true.
We didn't say it publicly or out loud much, but all along we were saying to ourselves, wouldn't it be cool if this premiered at Sundance? That was the dream that we had.
I wish I could lie and just be like I had it all together, but I was just hoping something major happened, but I didn't have a plan on going to Sundance. One of my producers, Harris Duran, I love him to death. He's just incredible, an incredible producer. It wouldn't have gotten done without him, for sure.
And I was standing and I saw a poster for once in New York, and I was looking at it and thinking, that's how I can afford to do this, and that's how I can afford to make another film. And so really I just want to thank Sundance and John for being here.
What's up, everyone? Thomas here with For Real. And once again, I am at a loss of words to explain how awesome my most recent film festival experience was. Last month, I journeyed out to Utah to attend Sundance Film Festival in person in Park City, and for the first time ever, which is amazing. And it truly was just this wonderful, unforgettable experience. You know, I got to walk Main Street. I saw some great films. I hung out with some really awesome people, but the absolute best part about it is that I didn't do it alone. So two writers joined me on this incredible Sundance adventure, and they are also joining me here today to close out our coverage of the film festival. If you watched our curtain raiser, you are familiar with them, but here they are. First up, with major magazine dreams and absolutely no shortcomings, we have Taylor Beaumont.
Very well done. Thank you for that amazing intro. What's up, Thomas?
Yo.
It's good to see you again.
Yeah, for sure. And up next, he lives in a polite society on Rye Lane in Kokomo City. We have Marty MILLMAN.
I love that, because those are honestly three of the most favorite films that I saw. So
yeah, you know, guys, Sundance, like I mentioned, just an incredible experience with both of you, and so I really appreciate you guys trekking all the way out there and having this awesome experience together. Taylor, I want to start with you. Just questions to start the conversation. I'm interested in knowing what you took away from Sundance and your Sundance experience.
Well, my experience was incredible. It was a whirlwind time, but like honestly, just the atmosphere of it all, the energy of it all, just like, you know, completely sucked me in. And yeah, like just this whole idea of attending a festival with all these multiple theater venues like dispersed in this like nestled like mountain setting. Like I draw the parallel between Park City and Whistler in British Columbia. And yeah, just the idea of being in a fest there with, you know, all that going on and like skiers coming down the mountains and everything at the same time. Like, yeah, that just made it a really unforgettable time.
Yeah, it was interesting how the festival is happening and we're kind of contending for bus space with some of the skiers.
Yeah.
But made for a really interesting time getting to meet a lot of different people in the city for different reasons. But yeah, I concur with a lot of that. Marty, what was your takeaway from Sundance?
I had the most amazing experience. Like, the only film festival I'd been to before was in Savannah. Went there a few times for college. I was comfortable, so it was just very like a out of body experience in Utah. And like the second we're flying in and I'm seeing all these mountains, I'm like, oh, like shit, like I'm here. And everyone was just so nice. I saw as many movies as I possibly could, and I just had the best experience. And I'm so thankful for it.
You know, I wanted to ask you, Marty, because you did some interviews and it's pretty cool, the people that you interviewed. And so I wanted to ask how you feel now about having talked to two Sundance award-winning filmmakers.
Um, it's so awesome because before the fest, I got to talk to D. Smith in Kokomo City. I saw that towards the end of the festival, and I actually made some really good friends while waiting for the movie to start. Because turns out the girl sitting in front of me is also from St. Louis, so she's visiting her family right now. We're gonna hang out this weekend, so like that was an interesting experience. And the documentary was just, it was outstanding. I loved her direction and her vision. Like you can see her style just all over the screen. And there were so many beautifully framed shots that like had me almost in tears. And just you start out with a great laugh. So for that to be her first documentary, she definitely deserves those two awards because that was fantastic. And then speaking with the director of Slow, like she was just as nice could be. After our interview, we like just sat and chatted for like another like 10, 15 minutes. And I ran into her a couple more times throughout the fest. And every single time it was just like, oh, it's you again. Hey. And so like that just made it even more fun. And I even got to talk to her a little bit after she won her award. And I talked to the cast too. And everyone was just so nice and so full of energy. And I enjoyed both the films, which is a great thing to say as well. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I thought it was cool because I think we were all kind of live watching as they were announcing in one way or another. Taylor, we were virtual, and Marty, you're actually there for
Yeah.
the announcements, which is pretty cool. And it's always nice to see, you know, these independent filmmakers get honored for what they do, but to also have Marty having had talked to a couple of them already, and have those interviews online, which you can find, by the way, at thisisforreal.com. For real, of course, spelled FORREEL. Little plug there for that. Definitely check those out. The great interviews, great conversations, and yeah, it's really cool that Marty was able to talk with them. So
their reactions were the best too. Cause like when you watch regular award shows, like you get the few like flabbergasted people, but like these are independent artists, either their first film, their second film, first time being recognized, you know? So just seeing the excitement on people's faces when they were winning awards was just outstanding because these are people that are finally feeling recognized for their art. And it was really beautiful to see so many people just over the moon joyous. Like it was beautiful.
that's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Taylor, we've been to quite a few festivals at this point, at least both virtually and in person in the Pacific Northwest and otherwise. But this is, of course, our first time, all of our first time going to Sundance. But I really wanted to know, just kind of with your background in film festivals at this point and going to Sundance, what would you tell someone else who might be attending Sundance for the first time, like maybe next year in the future?
Oh geez, that's a good question. No, just go in not with the highest of expectations. Just like don't like set the bar like so high for yourself, I mean to say. Just kind of go in, have a good healthy amount of films that you're like really intent on seeing, but you know, don't overload yourself. Definitely I would tell this to myself also this year, make more time to check out like panels and, you know, more talking, you know, Q&A style events like that. Because I said I was going to, and I only caught like a couple at this fest. And I kind of wish I had gone to more because there were a lot of those happening like all around Sundance and at like all times of the day. So, you know, there was plenty of opportunity there. And, yeah, you know, dress warm, be ready to move, be ready to run around and hustle between theaters, hop on a bus and yeah, you know, just attack it.
Great answer. I would agree. I concur with all of that. It's I was actually just talking with a friend of mine about this, what was it, yesterday, where it's like you can't really, at least I think if you're doing the festival right, you can't really plan Sundance, right? You can kind of get an idea of what you want to do and the things you want to check out, the movies you want to see. But honestly, the Sundance plan for me like fell into place while I was there. I think all of the preparation that I did was good for coordinating the spontaneity that happened while I was at the festival. And you just never know. You never know who you run into. You never know the friends that you're gonna make, or you know, maybe a panel sounds more interesting when you hear more people talking about it. Like I think it's hard to like just lock yourself into like, this is going to be my schedule at the start of the festival and then sticking to that the whole time. There's so many other things that you can do and so many times that your plans will probably change. So I think that was one of the big things that I took away. Like, leave yourself some flexibility, because you never know what'll come up while you're at the festival. So all right. Thank you guys for entertaining that conversation really quickly. For those watching, of course, we love that you watch us and that you support us. And this is just a quick reminder that the best way to support us is to follow us and connect with us. Obviously, you can subscribe to For Real at thisisforreal.com. You can also follow us on social media. Those links will be either in this description or on the website. And then I also encourage you to comment on this video and share. One of the things that, one of the reasons we do this is to facilitate conversation. And so let's talk, comment, share, give us your opinion. Let's have more conversations about film. So yeah, that's the best way to support us at this point. But now let's talk about some Sundance movies. I don't really have much of a format for this one. I think that as we were, and I know as I was kind of thinking about what movies I wanted to talk about, it seemed that in the curtain raiser, I chose right. And so a lot of the films that I talked about in the curtain raiser, I saw and loved and want to talk about again here. And I might do a little bit of that. We might do a little bit of that. But you know, let's just start with a question. And maybe Marty, will start with you. Which film would you want to see a second time if you had the chance, like tonight?
If I had the chance tonight, it would probably be Fair Play. That was really an intense kind of fun journey I had with that one, because I went in knowing absolutely nothing other than a few cast members. And like I was just like, okay, whatever, went in, and it was really intense and really well acted, and the cinematography was fantastic. I really enjoyed the theater experience of it, and I tried to see it a second time in theaters, but it just didn't work. But it got picked up by Netflix, so that's exciting. We'll hopefully get it sometime soon, but I definitely think some people are going to miss out on the theater experience with that one. Especially, let me remember her name, Phoebe Denver. She was phenomenal. I'm entranced by her. Anything she's in the upcoming years, like I will be seated. I will be first in line for it. She really stole the show for me.
Awesome. Yeah, Taylor, did you get around to Fair Play?
No, that's one I missed, and I'm kicking myself for it.
You know, this was on kind of my short list of things to see, and I did get around to it, but I think what sold me on this one, like actually like for sure making time to see it, was someone on Twitter said this would be a really great double feature with Sanctuary, which premiered at TIFF. And I saw that and I was like, what? I loved Sanctuary. Yeah, now I have to watch it. And I would agree. I think they're their own movies, but the dynamic between the two main characters and that complicated kind of relationship that they have. And then in Fair Play, just how it devolves and why it devolves, you know, and where it ends up is so fascinating to watch and kind of keep up with. And yeah, it's a good one. I like this one as a you know, as a thriller, and kept me entertained the whole time.
I just really appreciated it. In the first scene, blood is drawn. In the last scene, blood is drawn. But it's two very, very different contexts. So it shows a great evolution and change. And there was so many smart directing decisions. And for that to be a directorial debut, I was speechless. Like, so good.
That's a really good point. I like that you pointed that out, because there is an evolution to that. So love it. There's a little more context for anyone else who wants to see it. Yeah, good pick there. Taylor, if you were to be able to watch a Sundance movie for a second time tonight, which one would it be?
Well, I mean, like if I wanted to make it like a weird night, I'd have to get Mia Goth in here and jump in the yeah. Fantastic.
Can we talk a minute about the Infinity Pool world premiere night? I want to touch on that and make sure that everyone knows how wonderful of an experience how dreadfully wonderful that was of an experience that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor, I mean, I know this was the one that you were like most excited about and that you enjoyed a lot. So why don't you lead this part of the conversation?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't like an instantaneous kind of like I knew I liked it the moment it started. I kind of had to, work my way into it and let it work itself into me as well, because it's that kind of movie. And yeah, I guess like when it started, I was kind of just like, I just had Possessor in the back of my mind, like that was an amazing Cronenberg film, his last film. And I was just like, just for whatever reason, just convinced myself that it was kind of going to go on a similar kind of path. But obviously Infinity Pool doesn't. And it's amazing for that, because it goes on its own very, very dark and twisted path. And yeah, but like once I kind of like got into the rhythm of it, yeah, I was really, really on board, and just like thoroughly engrossed by it and grossed out by it. It was fantastic, and the night, of course, surrounding it was amazing. You guys got the the more up close and personal experience though, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Marty, you want to talk about the press line and how you felt about the film?
I loved the film. I definitely was like, afterwards, I was like, okay, I think Possessor was a stronger film because it had more plot and structure. But then Taylor and I went to the panel, I think a day or two prior, and we learned that like Infinity Pool is actually written prior. So like it makes more sense that way. And after watching Infinity Pool a second time, I kind of appreciated it being less structured and more just about this like evil, animalistic anger and torturous nature. But the press line was so much fun. I had the best time. I didn't get an interview Brandon Cronenberg on the line, but afterwards he's just like hanging out. So I went up and I talked to him for like a good 5 minutes, and he was just the sweetest, weirdest, quirkiest guy. And
Yeah.
it was just awesome to like tell him how much I loved his films and how he was just like, oh, well, that's awesome. And then I had a great time talking to Amanda Brugel. She was the sweetest thing in the world. And I will cherish those moments I shared with her forever. And it was nice, like, because I saw Mia Goth at the Savannah Film Festival, but I didn't get to interview her, so I got to talk to her real quick. And it was her birthday when I saw her in Savannah, so it was nice being like, oh, well, did you enjoy yourself? And we ever going to see you directing? Or are we going to see more writing? And yeah, it's really exciting to know that she's going to be writing more and producing more, and she definitely has the eye and the talent for it. So it's really excited to see what's to come for her future.
I was very happy that you were able to talk with Mia, especially after what happened with Savannah and not being able to talk with her there. Obviously, I mean, Savannah was still kind of a cool experience, it looked like, but but it was really cool for you to finally connect with her and get to ask her a question. It's interesting. I again, I can't remember who I was talking to, but they had mentioned that they didn't like Infinity Pool when they saw the midnight screening. And I was like, oh, well, did you watch Possessor? And they said, no, I have not seen Possessor or any of Brandon's other films. And that made sense to me, because when I first saw Possessor, I was not really on board with it. It took me like 2 or 3 watches to finally like understand it.
Oh, look out!
Oh no! Tar's
behind you, it's Lydia Tar.
Is Lydia okay?
We should be.
It's a spoiler alert for the movie right there.
Yeah, she's trying to take me down. Ugh, can't silence her.
That's funny. I like that. But so with Possessor, it took me a couple tries to get around to, and I think that that just kind of speaks to, like, for a lot of people, Brandon Cronenberg and even David Cronenberg, it's probably acquired taste for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And so when I went into Infinity Pool, I had Possessor as an experience to kind of set this expectation of, okay, this is going to be weird, just embrace it. And it was very weird. It was, but it was also enjoyable. I actually really did enjoy, like, the story and the characters. And oh my God, the scene with Mia on the hood of the car is etched in my brain.
Yeah.
I can't hear her voice now without thinking about that scene, and that's a great thing for me. Like, it's just,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
so, I feel like that's going to be like an iconic scene for the rest of the year. I'll certainly be talking about it for a while. Um, but yes, I did enjoy it. It was a midnight screening, and I am old, so midnight is a very late time for me, but I managed to stay awake for the whole film because it was that enjoyable. And yeah, we really had a great time. I got to help Marty with the press line, and and after the movie, Marty, you mentioned how Brandon's just kind of hanging out and he's just kind of like chill and whatever. So I'd left my jacket in at the where the press line was, and so I had to go back behind the scenes to get my jacket. And there's Brandon just like standing
strategically.
there strategically. I
Yeah,
totally,
yeah,
totally didn't plan this.
yeah.
But strategically went back to get my coat, and I happened to have our flag, and so I was just like, "Yo, Brandon, since you're standing there, love the movie, by the way, but can you sign our flag?" And so Brandon is the start of hopefully what'll be a lot of really awesome autographs on that flag. So yeah,
Yeah.
just a
Speaking
fantastic.
of Brandon and staying awake,
Uh,
I was too enthralled by the movie to pay attention to this, but someone pointed out to me that Brandon, Mia, Alexander, and probably more were dead asleep during most of the film. They were like just knocked out. I heard that Alexander was snoring at one point.
oh
It
no.
was just like they were like, "We're done. We're exhausted. It's late."
Yeah.
Midnight is very ambitious. It's an ambitious thing to do after a full day.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, well, yes, again, wonderful experience. Taylor, was there anything else you wanted to add to wrap this part of the conversation up?
Um, just that, yeah, no, like I echo everything you guys have said. I was just like, I just got really warped by this film in a really just weird and wonderful way. And yeah, I can definitely echo the statement that it can't be recommended for everyone. Like there are definitely people I'd be like, no, this one's not for you. Steer clear. But yeah, for anyone that's, kind of is on your wavelength, like this is the movie that I'm going to be demanding everyone watch immediately. It sets a very awesome and weird tone for the year too. So like that's cool. And
It really
sets
does.
up a lot. Yeah. Oh, she's at it again.
At it again. I first of all, I said this before we started like officially talking. I love that you have that poster. That is like the
Yeah.
coolest thing, and I want one.
I'm lucky that my local AMC is just so chill. Like I saw it in theaters and then on one of the last screenings, and they were just like, I went up to them and I was like, "Hey, you're not playing this movie anymore. Can I have this?"
Yeah.
And they're like, check back with us in like a bit." I came literally 2 days later and I was like, "Can I have this?" And they were like, "Sure." Um,
It's all about who you
she's
talk
mine
to.
now, forever.
Forever.
That's funny. Nice. Well, I asked this question because there was a movie that I was actually able to watch twice at Sundance, and it was totally worth both viewings. And that film was Magazine Dreams. I talked about it in the Curtain Raiser. I wrote a review about it. I've blabbed about it nonstop to anyone that I can talk to. Um, it's such a harrowing film, a very tense and suspenseful film, surprisingly enough, because I'm pretty sure the Sundance page labeled it a drama, and that had to be a gross underrepresentation of what this movie is.
Yeah.
But I did thoroughly enjoy it, despite whatever controversies surrounded the closed caption situation and how I don't know, some people found it to be divisive because of how tough it was to watch. honestly, I really thought, especially looking at it from the context of being a sophomore film from Elijah Bynum, with starring and with an incredible performance from Jonathan Majors, who also executively produced the film. There's so much that works in this film for me, and this might be another one where it might not be for everyone, but I do think that it's one that's going to stick in my mind for a very long time. I wish it had the legs to get to award season. I kind of hope it does, because I need to see Jonathan Majors nominated for a bunch of awards for that performance. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes when it enters the world. I don't think it has a distributor yet. And I think we've been saying it since we watched it. It seems like it belongs under the A24 banner or under a Neon banner or something like that. But it'll be interesting to see where this movie goes. I liked it a lot. I recommend it, but it is a harrowing watch. So
Yeah.
Any other quick thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, I was right beside you there when we watched it, Thomas, and yeah, I think you could see how I was reacting, and I could see how you were reacting. So I think we're on the same wavelength there for sure. It's God, it just keeps throwing so many things at you. It's just like it's a film that really just like, I call it, like it's like a bludgeoning work. It's just kind of just like, it just really hits you with just strange after crazy after unbelievable thing after another, and it kind of feels relentless to a certain extent, because it really just keeps coming. It's a long movie, so you know you get a lot, and it goes up and down and up and down. But yeah, by the end, I just knew that like it had really affected me, and I couldn't help but just be overwhelmed and overjoyed by it because of all that in the end. Yeah.
Absolutely. Marty, what did you think?
Well, the first time I saw it online, and I actually missed like the last 20 to 30 minutes because I was tired and I fell asleep, but I was able to finish it, and I loved it. A lot of people gave the film a lot of slack for its like second hour, saying like the first hour is really intense and the second hour is kind of like drudging along. Like I disagree. I feel like it really knows when to floor the intensity and when to kind of like pull back and let you sit in this weird, uncomfortable, creepy space. There was one scene where he's on a date and I could feel my body about to explode, and I was just like, oh my god, how is she going to get out of this? I was so freaked out, like I was personally there. And by like there's certain points where Jonathan is just so good. I thought he was gonna like jump through the screen and fucking attack me. Like he's so good, and I can't wait to see him finally get like this amazing praise, because he's got a lot of good films coming out this year. He's got the next Creed film. What is it, Ant-Man? Like he's picking up speed. Like I'm really excited for Jonathan Majors to be like the next big star.
Yeah, I was thinking like after this performance from him in this film, like everything after this is just gonna feel like quiet and like kind of just like toned down, because like he set the bar like super high, like hot out the gate, and it's like it's gonna make a lasting impression, I hope, like throughout the year for sure.
Yeah, he really did. I project that he will be nominated for some acting Oscar. I don't know if it's going to be for this movie. It should be, but I think that he has so many projects coming out this year that he's going to get nominated for something in honor of this movie, if it's not for this movie, right? Like he just has so many good performances. I mean, even going back to Devotion last year, I thought that was a good performance. And so he's really putting out great performances, and I'm really expecting him to get nominated for something. I think that he's certainly lining himself up for a lot of recognition with next award season, which I guess I'm already starting to anticipate here after Sundance. Yeah, it's funny, Marty, you mentioned that dinner scene, and even though I'm not going to spoil anything, but even though he's a character that you're trying to like root for and that you want to succeed. That date scene, I'm like, girl, run.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not gonna work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's funny. When you guys watch the movie, get to the date scene, you'll know what we're talking about. All right. All right, let's just quickly jump to if it's not the same film, I want to know what your favorite film of the festival was. Taylor, let's start with you. I mean, we know your affinity for Infinity Pool. Was there another one that really stood out to you that was like maybe second favorite for you?
Well, honestly, I'd go with Magazine Dreams in that sense. That's probably my
all the good ones, right?
Yeah. Everything came together. So I'll just shout out the film. Well, I'll give a shout out to Shortcomings because that film also really not knocked out the park, but just really it really made me feel good. It was a feel good film that ticked a lot of the boxes, even though it's got a feel bad character. And I just felt it was like a really great adaptation of the graphic novel, and definitely a crowd pleaser as well. We've already talked about like my faves of the film, so I'll just give a shout out to this film that I watched when I returned home and did it online, which is The Eight Mountains. It's I guess it's an Italian production because it's an Italian set in Italy, but it might be a Belgian production because of the director. But it's just this great little, not little because it's a long film. It's about 2.5 hours, but it's a very novelistic feeling. It tells many chapters from throughout these two characters' lives, tracing from childhood to adulthood, and just really shifts in a very naturalistic and very human way throughout. Just kind of, illustrates like how men can like really bury things down inside them, and how those things can like slowly shift or shape them over time. I'll give a shout out to that film as well. But we've already talked about my faves. You know the ones.
We know the ones. Eight Mountains is probably the third one that I'm kicking myself for not seeing, but again, I will catch it at the next festival. Marty, did you end up watching Eight Mountains?
No, but it sounds great. I'll add it to my watch list.
I really did want to see that one, so I'm glad that you saw it, Taylor.
Yeah, I want to throw in a curveball pick there, or dark horse pick, if you will. Yeah.
Good selection. All right, Marty, what was your favorite film of the festival?
Well, I have two that I had the most fun with, and then I have like my most favorite. The two I had most fun with is Rye Lane and Polite Society. Rye Lane is amazing. It's bright. It's silly. My audience went crazy during so many points. We were laughing, screaming, clapping, just having the best time. And that's another one where I'm like, people need the theater experience for that. Yes, it's going to be out on Hulu at the end of February, but like if Rye Lane is playing in any theater near you, go see it. It is so fun, especially with a big audience. Another one that's a lot of fun is Polite Society. I know that's coming out end of April. That's a great fun one. It's so silly. It's balls to the wall basically, and like it tells you straight from the get-go like reality is out the door with this one. Suspend your disbelief. Just have a fucking blast and just be silly and goofy with this. And then I don't know, one of my like favorites is, it's a little bit more serious, a little bit darker, but still kind of funny, was Passages. I enjoyed that with you, Thomas, and that's a great one. It got picked up by Tubi or Movie, and I don't know when that one's coming out, but it's very serious and very dramatic, and it's got some beautiful visuals, some very sensual visuals as well, but I had a lot of fun with that. I love seeing I don't know, gay people be mean to each other, And it was just a really good, I don't know, eye-opener to think about like the way that people perceive relationships and the way that certain people kind of hold hierarchy in relationships. And I just think it was a really fun watch. And right after Thomas and I saw it, we actually ran into one of the actresses, Adele, And we just got to have a great conversation with her before she headed off to the airport. And we talked to her about what we liked about the film and her perceptions of the character. And she even signed Thomas's For Real flag. And
Autograph number
so
2.
that just kind of added to the experience. And I really, it was a great start to the day. And I had a lot of fun with that.
Passages. That movie, I agree with everything you said. I just had this like stressful reaction to that movie. There were moments where I'm just like, yo, dude. Like, because a lot of people talk about how unlikable the main character in Shortcomings is, right? And they're right, except they didn't watch Passages first. Because the main character, I think his name is Tomas, I can't remember the actor's name who plays him, but he is just like the most unlikable person I have like ever I've experienced on screen in like recent memory. And it's not even that he's like, I don't know, I think he has good intentions, but he also is very selfish in those intentions. Like, and there's, you recognize this like off the bat, you know he's not the greatest person ever. But it just gets more and more egregious as the movie goes on. And then you get to the end, you're just like, yo, dude, you gotta quit. Dude, you gotta back off. You need to go like learn to love yourself, okay?
Yeah.
So I love that you picked that one out, because that's kind of a fun one for me to talk about, even though I was like very stressed for a lot of that movie. But I think I guess I'll name 2 movies in particular that I want to call out as some of my favorites. The one that I want to talk about is the one that I ended Sundance on, which is Scrapper. And that movie was just so charming, so delightful, so wonderful. In actually, I noticed at Sundance, I don't know if this is normally the case or maybe I'm just now noticing it, but there's definitely there's movies that deal with father relationships, and then movies that deal with mother relationships, and there's like subsets of movies that fall into those categories. And I think this one, like depicting this estranged father-daughter relationship as they're like mending their relationship and he's coming back into her life, it just is so well done and so entertaining and likable. So I like this one a lot. And it took me a minute. I spent the whole movie thinking, the guy who plays the dad, I know who he is. Where have I seen him before? And he was in Triangle of Sadness. I googled it afterward. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, Harris Dickinson or
yeah, that's his name. Yep. So this is a very different role than that, but he pulls it off very well. And the girl, I'm spacing on her name too. I should probably pull this up. I'm spacing on her name, but a fantastic young performer in this movie. Great performance from her. So their chemistry just really worked for me here. But my ultimate favorite movie, besides Magazine Dreams at Sundance, is for sure Past Lives. This is a movie that a lot of people who were able to see it talked about, just because it's another one that's I think that it's so, I don't know, is relatable the right word? It's something that we can all understand when it comes to like longing and desire to be with someone. And as it's a directorial debut from Celine Song, I think is how you pronounce her name. And it's just so well done. What I really like in movies is authentic character development, right? Writing characters that are believable and that have a interesting progression in their story arc. And that's all this movie is. I actually remember thinking for a lot of the film, like, okay, this is kind of going along. We went from this phase to this phase. Now we're going from this phase to this phase, and I was just kind of rolling with it and just hanging with the characters. But then you get to the ending, and that ending, my goodness, ooh, that is the most impactful 60 seconds that I will see in theaters this year. Just and it's so incredible how this story that just kind of like simmers the whole time with this like sense of longing and desire just simmers with it. I don't feel like there is any super massive emotional swelling that happens until that very end, and the payoff is massive at that point. Sniffling all over the theater. I was crying. That happened. But it was very, very well done. Fantastic. This might actually be my favorite directorial debut of the year. I know it's early to say that, but it might just be my favorite directorial debut this year. So
I was also crying in that one. I was debating about like if I'm going to make the trek to go to it because it was at the like Redstone, a little bit north of town. But I did it. I got there early, and it was such a great decision. It felt like a forbidden love story without being a love story at all. And I just feel like it made so many good points. Like you were saying, it's not relatable, but it's definitely something that I feel like everyone can connect to, and everyone can kind of see themselves in relationships that they've had and kind of look through a different lens after seeing it. And it just, I don't know, it's kind of one of those, like you said, it's a slow burn, but it's like, it's this gradual feeling with it where it's just like, okay, I'm getting this. And the longer you're just kind of getting these feelings, and you just feel like you're just filling up with air and you're about to explode. And I couldn't even leave the theater. I was like sitting there through the credits. People are like leaving, and I'm just like sitting, crying, like trying to get myself together before I walked out of the theater. I really cannot wait to see that one again.
I'm actually both shocked and offended that it did not get any awards for repeat screening.
I honestly, I heard the most buzz during the festival beginning about Radical, and then it kind of Radical started to simmer down, and then it was Past Lives, Past Lives, Past Lives. And then like at the end, I would talk to people like, what were your favorite films? I would always hear Past Lives and Radical, Past Lives and Radical. So maybe just not enough people got to see it because there were limited screenings, there were no online screenings for it.
Right.
But who knows, Past Lives might be at another festival coming up soon and finally start to get a lot more buzz, because everyone who saw Past Lives, except for maybe like one or two people, I think like really, really bonded and really got it just right from the get-go.
Yeah. It's so good. I that'll be another one to see how it goes out into the world. A24, it's an A24 film, and so it's like they have another gem on their hands. They just, knocked it out of the park with Everything Everywhere All at Once. And this isn't anything like Everything Everywhere, but it's certainly something special.
They definitely have an affinity for grabbing really connective Asian American stories, because they had Minari a couple years ago, the Everything Everywhere last year, and then now they've got Past Lives this year. Like they definitely are on the pulse when it comes to like a really connective, emotional Asian American story.
Yeah, and I don't know. I would like, it would be really awesome if they handled this in a way that got it to award season.
I definitely think it will.
I hope so. Yeah.
Those performances were just, especially just even the way you started off of kind of like this outsider perspective. I was just like, this is, I don't know, is so smart, because I felt like this person. I felt like these people watching these characters like, ooh, who's the relationship here? Who's the best friend? I was just like, it's a great way for you to just know who these people are, know what this dynamic is. And it's a, like you said, your very smart directorial debut. That and Fair Play are like my like two fighting of like which like was stronger. But yeah.
Great stuff. Taylor, you didn't get a chance to see this one, right?
Nah, no, sorry guys.
It's okay.
This one.
It'll resurface at some point. And I will strongly recommend it for you.
Oh yeah.
So all right, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with that. Any final thoughts on your Sundance experience, Taylor? Anything you want to say?
No, I just that the best time with you guys. It was that's what made the magic. We all did as a team running around there. It was fantastic, and I can't wait to do the next one. And I hope to do another Sundance sometime in the near future, because yeah, it's a quick flight down there to Utah just from here in Vancouver. And yeah, God, it's not to love. Get in the snow, get in the sun.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Marty, any last thoughts on Sundance?
I just had the best time, and I can't wait for next year because I've made so many good relationships and had so many good experiences. And like you said earlier, like just give yourself more flexibility with the schedule, because so many times like I was just like, I think I'm gonna just skip this movie and hang out with these people, and it was the best decision ever. So I'm really excited to be back in an environment like that and be with people who love movies and care about movies and just want to chit and chat over like the smallest little detail about what made this one so amazing, what made this one so divisive. And yeah, I wouldn't trade the past like 2 weeks for anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to echo everything you guys just said. It was a wonderful time. I enjoyed hanging out with the For Real team. You guys were awesome to be with, of course. And I also enjoyed hanging out with friends that I knew from online and from Twitter. And so, you know, it was just a really great time to make awesome connections. And, you know, it was almost like the films were just a really awesome bonus to getting to like, you know, meet and hang out with people. So, you know, I took that away from Sundance, and I do look forward to doing it again sometime in the near future. And you know, obviously, like I said, giving myself more flexibility, trying more panels. Like, you know, there's so much going on in Park City when that's happening. And so yeah, just lots of great stuff. And so I appreciate you guys being a part of that experience. Thank you so much for your contribution to that.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Of course.
Anytime,
right.
Jamesy.
Jamesy. I love it. I want to watch the movie just for that. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching and for tuning in and for following our Sundance content. You can find it. I'm still publishing stuff, so keep an eye out on the Sundance page that we have. You can find it at thisisforreal.com. Like I said, like, subscribe, share our content, and talk with us. Have some conversations. We, as you can tell, like talking about movies, and so we want to do that with as many people as possible. So again, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, everyone out there, keep it for real.